As you guys may, if you've already watched this channel before, know, I'm such a big fan of Gibson and their basses of the past. And this video just had to be made. The Gibson t-shirt is on, and this is going directly and addressing the people at Gibson. I want to see these basses back in production. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in again. This video is kind of a direct plea, if you will, to the people at Gibson regarding their bass department. Now, for the past few years, pretty much for as long as I can remember, Gibson has been kind of doing the same basses. We've seen them have a few takeovers and have different people at the helm of the company, and it seems like now they've kind of leveled it out. It's kind of in a good place. I personally own a Gibson custom shop Kebmo guitar, which is amazing, and a Gibson 333, which I have down here next to me, which is again another amazing guitar. And over the years I have owned a couple of Gibson basses, but there's one Gibson bass that I really want to own, that I did own and had to sell on, but would love to see Gibson just put into their regular production. Now, for these years that I've been talking about, I remember Gibson making Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds are kind of the go-to bass that's never left the lineup, and I have owned one of these Thunderbirds. I owned 2014 Thunderbird, which was okay. I didn't love it. I sold it quite quickly. I didn't love the neck profile of it. I didn't like necessarily how it sits. It's just not a bass that's practical for everyday playing for most people. It looks really cool when you get up on stage and rock out with it and play a rock gig with it, but other than that, that's kind of where it lives and doesn't have much space outside of that. It needs to have those original silver pickups in it, but for me that 2014 just wasn't the one. The other bass that I've always seen Gibson making is the SG bass. You know, maybe you've had a couple of EBO type things, EB1s, EB3s. I love EB2s, they're cool basses. I'd love to own one of those. Things like the Midtown bass and stuff like that, all sorts of things. And of course the was it the EB4 bass, which was the kind of Music Man humbucker style bass, and I liked that. I liked what was going on there. I liked the idea with that. But there's, like I say, there's one bass or one range of basses that I want to see back, and I think would just be perfect to live in the Gibson lineup permanently, and I don't know why they haven't done this already. And that is the Gibson Grabber, Ripper and G3. Now these basses are, for me, just great basses, and I don't really know why they haven't ever come back. I say ever. There was a 2009 reissue of these basses, but very limited run, and I wish that I bought one at the time. And also there was around the same time, there was a G3 70s reissue, which I've never really seen any more out there in the wild. It didn't really feel like the original ones to me, and I didn't go for one of those. But I did have a G3, an original one that felt and sounded amazing. Unfortunately it had a twisted neck, so I moved that on. But these basses are the basses that I just want to see back in the lineup. Now, why do I want to see them back? Well, I think they kind of, for me, they're like anti-Fenders, but they kind of fill the same spaces that Fenders can fill too. So my G3, I mean, starting with that, was just one of the best sounding basses. I absolutely loved it, and I'd love to see it back with, you know, copies of those Bill Lawrence pickups, very close to the original design. The bolt-on neck, it just works. And the thing about these basses is they are kind of the same bass, so pretty much you could be building the same shaped bodies, routing the same shaped bodies with the CNC machines. And if you want to be period correct, I guess you want to have the set neck on the Ripper. But for me, to be honest, just having the same bass with a bolt-on with 3 different pickup styles would be amazing. You know, it doesn't have to have the pointed arrow headstock on the G3 versus the other two. Maybe they just all have the same body and you get a choice of pickups and electronics. I just feel like it would be an amazing combination. You have, in the range, you've got the Grabber, which is kind of like a P-bass to me, but you can move the humbucker around, which is a unique feature. You can grab it and move it, and that gives you more like your P-bass type tones to my mind. You then have the Ripper, which will do the P-bassy type thing, but also the jazz bass thing, because it's got the 2 pickups, and it's got the multi-way switching, which has just a lovely effect on the tone. You can do all sorts of bits and pieces with that, and I think that would really fill that Fender jazz bass type space. because that's the thing that, you know, is missing in the Gibson range, is the variety, I think. If you had these three basses, they kind of fill each. So you got the Grabber as the P bass, the Ripper as like the jazz bass, and then the G3 as kind of another animal, but still a cool sound, and it's got some variety. So the G3, you had the choice to have it's a $1.50 as they called it. So you've got 3 single coil pickups, and it gives you the option to have the rear pickup and the middle pickup, the front pickup and the middle pickup, or you could have all 3 together. And I mean, that bass I loved that bass so much. The tone you could get from it was incredible. And actually, I wish I'd kind of just got a replacement neck made for it or something like that, just to keep it, because there's so much magic that went on with the electronics on that bass. It was just a great bass that could rock out, but also be kind of versatile. The range of tones it had, a really solid tone control, so you could roll it off and get some old school type things. I mean, I imagine if you put flats on that bass, it would sound really big and fat. It's just a great range of basses. So for me, Gibson, I think that needs to be the place to go. But I think these basses would really just fill such a niche and give yourself the option to be kind of the anti-Fender. I know that I would personally totally use those basses in those roles. I'd probably buy one of each if I'm being... Yeah, I probably would buy one of each. Of course, they're a little bit simpler to build because they're just bolt-ons, so that maybe makes it a little bit cheaper to build. Like I say, maybe they don't have to be direct, perfect reissues, but they could be bolt-on versions of them with the 3 different pickup systems. I just think that it would totally fit into the lineup and just give people something cool, you know, something cool and different. I feel like we've seen the same designs again and again, but going back to something like that would be interesting. And I think we're kind of all ready for that, something that's maybe didn't get enough screen time originally. You know, it's got the classic players of people like Gene Simmons. I know you've reissued the Thunderbird now, but I would have loved to have seen a Grabber or a G3 instead of the Thunderbird. But also Chris from Nirvana, Mike Dirnt's played them. So many of these players they're big guys. They've got a heritage, they've got some clout behind them that have used these basses. I just think they would be a great fit to go into the lineup. So please, Gibson, that's all I'm asking. Let's have these basses back in production, because for me they're just classics and I love them. So those are my thoughts on the Gibson basses that should come back into the range and just give us more options. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Do you like the Grabber, the Ripper and the G3, or is there another Gibson bass that you would like to see make it back out into the lineup? Please do hit the like button, and hopefully this can get out in front of the people at Gibson and maybe we can see what happens on that front. But thank you for watching this video. Do hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.